Infusing news reporting with investigative journalism with talk radio. Now back to Aaron Klein, Investigative Radio.
As I broadcast right now from New York, I want to go immediately to the New York Senate race. And actually, we are joined by the Republican candidate for the New York Senate running against Kirsten Gillibrand, Chele Farley. Her website is Chele Farley for Senate, CHELEFARLEY for, the word for, Senate.com. Chele Farley, welcome to Aaron Klein Investigative Radio.
Aaron, it is great to be here. If Chele Farley for Senate's a little complicated and tough to remember, you can also go to firegillibrand.com.
Firegillibrand.com. Excellent.
Exactly.
And I should also note that you have graciously agreed to take phone calls tonight from anyone who has questions about New York, about the Senate race. The phone number here for Chele Farley is 877-970-2999. So first of all, if you can kind of just, I know you've been on this show before. We have a lot of times a lot of new listeners, especially here in New York. If you can kind of tell us about yourself and what motivated you to run for Senate.
Absolutely. Well, so I am not a career politician. In fact, this is the first time I am running for office. A little bit about my background. I'm an engineer. I studied engineering at Stanford, which wasn't a huge surprise because my father is an actual rocket scientist. I think he always wanted a son, and he decided when he didn't have one, he was going to raise me just the same. And so I did lots and lots of math and science, and I can't thank him enough for it. And so I was out at Stanford studying engineering, and then I came to New York to work on Wall Street. And I've been doing that for the last 25 years. And I just got tired of seeing sort of the dysfunction in Washington. I was the finance chair for the Republican Party in New York, and people kept saying that I should run for office. And I said, it's not a good time. I'm married. I have 3 sons who are 11, 16, and 19. My 16-year-old son is severely autistic. But people kept saying it, and I talked to my husband, who I think you may know, is a big Democrat. And he's like, are you crazy? This is a wonderful opportunity. Frankly, it's not a good time, but it's never a good time. It's also not a bad time. So you've got a real opportunity to make a change. We were both, unhappy with, not one but 2 government shutdowns, and discovering that how much New York loses. We have a Senator, Kirsten Gillibrand, who's too busy running for president than she is to represent the people of New York, and that's all I want to do. And this last tax bill, she sat on her hands. It was good for a lot of New Yorkers, but frankly, it could have been better. And she did absolutely nothing, and I would have gotten in there, and I would have negotiated and made the bill better for more people. And that's the job of a senator, and that's what I'm going to do.
So, okay, actually, let's get to your opponent, Kirsten Gillibrand, because one of the big things that she has been using to promote and propel her political career, I would say for at least the last year, has been that she has branded herself as the Me Too senator, standing for women's rights, which of course is very important. In fact, she demanded that Al Franken step down. She was the first senator to do so. She said that Bill Clinton should have resigned, and he absolutely should have, over the Monica Lewinsky scandal, but I think he should have resigned over the sexual assault allegations beyond Monica Lewinsky. But the thing is this. Gillibrand made this big deal about how she returned Harvey Weinstein's, I think it was like $11,000 in contributions throughout her career. But we're going through and we find that actually, quietly, the number one donor, and for those who missed my show a few minutes ago, let me repeat, the number one donor throughout Senator Kirsten Gillibrand's entire political career has been actually Harvey Weinstein's longtime law firm and lawyer. Now, as I said, somebody has to defend Harvey Weinstein, and, they settled some lawsuits, but this is no ordinary lawyer. He signed a contract with a firm, shadowy private investigation firm, that tried to stop the allegations against Harvey Weinstein from going public. In one case, an operative actually posed as a women's rights activist to try to get information from at least one of Weinstein's female accusers. Also, while this same law firm represented the New York Times, another one from this firm that David Boies, the law firm, signed this contract with, they went undercover to meet with reporters to get the names of women who were quietly speaking to the media. And the question, of course, becomes, what would they do with that? And then it gets even worse, as if it could get worse. This attorney, David Boies, according to The New Yorker, and he admitted this, he then passed the information on Weinstein's accusers, gleaned from this private firm. Directly from him, he passed it to Harvey Weinstein. So we're talking here about over $800,000 donated throughout her career by this law firm. It's called Boies, Schiller, and Flexner. $806,983 to be exact. So first of all, Chele Farley, this is amazing stuff about your opponent. What do you think about it?
I couldn't agree more. Aaron, you did an amazing job with that article in Breitbart. I would ask all of your readers to go and see it. It came out on Friday. But yes, I came out in May and said that she's got to donate this blood money. She donated the $11,000 to, a charity for sexually abused women. Well, what about this $806,000? I mean, it's incredible. The Boies Schiller law firm, her number one donor, were the enablers of Harvey Weinstein. It's outrageous. And, of course, nothing but crickets, no response whatsoever. And, in fact, they even donated money to her, super PAC, which helps other candidates around the country. She's donated more to other candidates than any other senator, more than Cory Booker, more than Elizabeth Warren, more even than Bernie Sanders. I mean, why? Because she's running for president. But this is ridiculous. I mean, is she the Me Too senator or is she the Me First senator?
So just to be very clear here, tonight you are calling, correct, for Senator Kirsten Gillibrand to return the money or donate it elsewhere, all of the money that she received from Harvey Weinstein's very interesting, longtime lawyer, close advisor, business investor. Is that correct? You're calling her for her officially to get rid of that money?
Absolutely, Aaron. She should return it. She should donate it to charity, all of it, all $806,000.
So, do you think that Kirsten Gillibrand, given the fact that she very clearly has accepted a lot of this money, and I point out, by the way, that she was a partner in Boies, Schiller, and Flexner from 2002 to 2005, 2006. I also point out, I'm not sure if she was there, we're trying to find out, but actually in 2005, this same law firm had a little vacation in Jamaica, and apparently the lawyers for this law firm where she was working at the time, again, now her number one donor, and they were Harvey Weinstein's, beyond lawyers. They're going around signing a contract to find out who's talking to the media, the accusers, that apparently in 2005, this same firm actually, the attorneys show up in Jamaica and they're greeted, according to the New Yorker, by a woman splayed out on a buffet table with her body covered in chocolate. And several of the female attorneys had a problem with this. I want to know if Kirsten Gillibrand was around at the time or not. But just this close association, what does that say about her?
Absolutely. And, she wrote a book about, the past experiences, she'd had personally. And it's like, well, I mean, this is the Boies Schiller law firm where she was a partner. She had to know the stuff was going on. You also had a great story about, this woman being the only woman in a room, who was, basically she was the one who was asked to go down and pay for a taxi rather than everyone else. I mean, that's not the way that we should be treating, our female attorneys. But, this is the firm where she worked, and, I mean, the issue is she's got to return this money. It's just the hypocrisy is ridiculous. She returns the money from Harvey Weinstein. It's only $11,000. But she's unwilling to return $806,000, which is crazy. She's got to put her money where her mouth is.
Speaking of returning money, it's pretty sickening to me that New Yorkers give about $48 billion basically to fund the federal government. And I don't know where that is going because it doesn't seem to be coming back here to New York, and certainly not to the taxpayers. And actually, apparently, Kirsten Gillibrand's big solution is more taxes, a financial transaction tax. And New York is already the highest taxed state in the entire country. So for the New York listeners right now, what would you do about that?
Well, this financial services tax, I mean, here it's supposed to be paid, it's supposed to take care of, paid family leave. Guess what? New York already has that. We're already paying for it. So it's going to mean that more of our money is going to other states. It's outrageous. I have a TV ad out which literally has a dump truck which is dumping money in someone's driveway because that's what's happening to our money right now. It's crazy. We lost $40 billion in 2016, $48 billion in 2017. Because of this tax bill, it's expected to go up to $62 billion. The numbers are staggering, and it's ridiculous. Our infrastructure is falling apart. I mean, as an engineer, this is so important. I just came in on the LIE, which was bumper to bumper. It's ridiculous. My husband took the train out. I was on the LI, RR. It's crazy. And it's like, why is our infrastructure not better? We live in the richest country in the world. Frankly, we live in the richest state in that country. And people say, well, there isn't enough money. Guess what? There is. This Gateway project, it's awful. Every time I go back and forth to D.C., one of the trips is delayed by an hour or more because one of the tunnels, between Manhattan and New Jersey is closed for repairs. They're old. They were beautifully built, but they need to be repaired and replaced. Repairing those tunnels will cost $1 billion each. Building 2 new ones will cost $11 billion, $13 billion. Guess what? We could pay for that 4 times over with the money that we lose in a single year.
Yeah, and by the way, New York is the financial center of America. Can you imagine if there's some huge natural disaster even, and something happens where 2 of the tunnels are shut down, people can't get to work, people can't get out? That would cause, aside from massive traffic delays, could cause financial problems. This is even beyond an infrastructure issue. It's, I think, a critical national security issue here in New York.
Absolutely, Aaron. They say that every time that the tunnel is shut down, it costs $100 million in lost productivity. It's ridiculous. We shouldn't be living like that. We don't have to live like that. We have to bring that money back. Instead, that money is going to other places. It's crazy, and nobody is talking about it. You certainly don't hear her talking about it. And a lot of this is because she can't get anything done. She has been in D.C. for 11 and a half years. 4 of those years, she was in the majority. Do you know how many bills she's passed? Exactly 1. She got a bill passed this past week. I've been bugging her about it and talking about it. And in April, I said this publicly. At the end of April, she came out and she proposed a bill which just got passed. Do you know what the bill does? It renames a post office. That shouldn't even count as passing a bill.
Oh, no. Actually, we have to take a quick break. We're speaking with New York senatorial candidate Chele Farley. And actually, she is going to be taking your phone calls next. Actually, Yuri, if we can get rid of callers 1 and 2, because I only want calls on this, 877-970-2999 is the phone number here. If you have a question for New York senatorial candidate Chele Farley, it's all about New York, 877-970-2999. Stay tuned.
From ABC to the Daily Mail to Politico to Drudge, this is the show that makes the news. Now, more from Aaron Klein, Investigative Radio.
The website is CheleFarleyForSenate.com. We are speaking with New York senatorial candidate Chele Farley running against Kirsten Gillibrand. And I'm not going to give out the phone number because every single call line is totally sold out. Hopefully, we'll have enough time to get through these. So let's immediately start with the first phone call here. I'll just go down the list. And Chele Farley is on taking your questions and comments. Terry in Manhattan. Hello, Terry in Manhattan. Welcome.
Hello, Aaron. Miss Farley, I got to sing the Star Spangled Banner with you. It was a pleasure. I'm very aware that Channel 1 will limit your access And if there is a debate, there must be more than one debate. You're so well-grounded. You have the facts at your fingertips. People will respond very positively to you. I wonder whether you'll be able to be heard on a regular station here in New York City.
Well, Terry,
what's the question, basically? You're asking if there's going to be public debates with Gillibrand?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
That's my question. Basically. I'll listen on the radio.
Sure.
Well, thanks, Terry. Actually, I have been offered and I have accepted 5 debates already so far, including on New York One Spectrum, absolutely. And, of course, you know how many that she's actually responded to, 0. But, you know, historically she's always done a debate. I actually think the more debates we would have, the better. So I've accepted all 5, and I've actually been on New York One Spectrum twice already. I've been on ABC. I've been on CBS. I've got an ad out right now on both Fox and CNN, and have appeared on both of those shows as well on Fox and Friends. So we are certainly, you know, on the air, but I am more than happy to accept any and all debates.
Yeah, and it's still the summer. I think after the summer, people are going to be paying more careful attention, and this is going to be, I think, a real national race. And by the way, as soon as we get rid of a caller, it means there's one call line open. Let's go to Jim in Brooklyn. Hello, Jim in Brooklyn. Welcome.
Yes, hello. Just as Ms. Farley and Aaron know, Kirsten Gillibrand has associated herself with a person, Linda Sarsour, who is an underground front for the Islamic program in America, Sharia law. I'm sure we all know this already. Second of all, just as Hillary Clinton was an interstate carpetbagger moving to New York solely to run for the Senate, using New York as a stepping stone, so also Kirsten Gillibrand has become an intrastate carpetbagger, coming from upstate and totally, radically opposite, making a 100-degree U-turn on many of our policy ideas. So she is lower than nothing to me.
So basically, you're asking about Gillibrand's flip-flopping. Is that it?
Yeah, she flip-flopped, most notably with the NRA and many other topics. As soon as she
but hold on. Do you have a question? We have so many phone calls here, so I want to give everybody an opportunity. Is there a specific question for Chele Farley?
Well, yes, my main question is, will Ms. Farley point these things out in any debate?
Absolutely. And in fact, I'll continue talking about it. Interestingly, so I have been offered to put the debate on a national stage. And I immediately accepted, and I said, well, you know, just out of curiosity, why do you want to do that? And they said, this is the most prominent race between 2 women in the entire country. So I think we are going to have that opportunity. But you bring up, Jim, 2 very good points. You know, one, yes, I mean, I joke that she was known as Annie Oakley when she was in the House, and then she's turned into Jane Fonda in the Senate. And it's like, how in the world do you flip so much in literally in less than 2 years? She went from having an A rating with the NRA to having an F rating with the NRA. But you bring up the point about Linda Sarsour, and yes, I do talk about it, and it is absolutely ridiculous. I actually met Aaron Klein when I was in Israel in May for the 70th anniversary, and you know, I met with so many people over there, and about half of them said her positions, Kirsten Gillibrand's positions, are horrible. She voted for the Iran nuclear deal. She voted against the Taylor Force Act, which prohibits our tax dollars to going to the families of terrorists. That only inspires more terrorism. Who wants that? It's ridiculous. And then the worst of all, she put her name on. She sponsored this anti-BDS legislation and then quietly took her name off of it. That, like, never happens. You take your name off legislation that you sponsor. So, you know, and supporting Linda Sarsour, she wrote a glowing article in Time magazine about Linda Sarsour, you know, who's a disciple of Louis Farrakhan. And so that is absolutely my job. But please, you know, go to the website, firegillibrand.com, sign up for our newsletter, and spread the word.
Let's go to Sharon in Queens, New York. Hello, Sharon.
I want to thank you both, first of all, for being on the right side of history. Just both of you remember being popular is not what we're at today or ever. There is a lobby called the Iranian American Political Action Committee, IAPAC. From what I understand, Gillibrand got money from it, but even more so, a senator who supported the Iran deal is not someone who's going to get my vote. Israel now today is being attacked on all fronts, and you could thank the Obama administration for that, because all these peace people, where they claim they want to make peace and, you know, all these uraniums for peace, well, I think we have a 3D version of what's going on now in Israel and around the world. The biggest global sponsor of terror was supported by this senator.
I couldn't agree with you more, Sharon. Absolutely. And, you know, another great example of this is that she had originally supported putting sanctions on, you know, companies and organizations that, you know, use human shields. And now, you know, that is going up as, you know, more than a resolution, and actually bill in the Senate. It has bipartisan support, and she refuses to put her name on it. And, I mean, that's just got to stop. So, I mean, Chuck Schumer did not vote for the Iran nuclear deal, but Kirsten Gillibrand did. She says she's...
Well, they split the vote on purpose. There was a whole... I don't mean to interrupt you, but there's some tricks that are done in Congress. And what they do is they know they have certain amounts of votes to pass a bill, and or whatever you want to call it, you know, a treaty, what a joke, but you know what I mean, and they split the vote, so they get to keep some of
Okay, Sharon in Queens, thanks so much. We only have about a minute left, so let's try to squeeze in John in Brooklyn. Hello, John in Brooklyn. Welcome.
Yeah, Aaron, thanks for taking my call. Listen, on a daily basis, we're being pushed to take certain types of vaccines that will soon become mandatory. These have been known to cause birth defects. How much is Chele Farley against this forced vaccination?
Well, honestly, I don't even think we have the time to get into that right now, because we're totally out of time. But what we're going to have to do, Chele Farley, please come back again. I see from the volume of phone calls that we have here, there's an enormous amount of interest. So happy to have you on so that you can take more phone calls in the future from the New York audience. And thank you so much for being here. The website, Fire Gillibrand, CheleFarley4Senate.com. Thank you so much for being here, Chele Farley.
Thank you, Aaron. I look forward to it. I would love to come back.
Absolutely. So there you have it, Chele Farley, New York Senate race. We are going to continue, by the way, to cover this race in a massive way. And I am going to continue to take your phone calls throughout the next action-packed hour of Aaron Klein Investigative Radio. Stay tuned.